What is up YouTube? In this video we are going to talk about Scrapy. So this video is going to be an introduction to Scrapy framework. It is a Python based framework for web scraping and it is really awesome. Once you start using Scrapy, you will never touch request and beautiful soup. So without wasting any more time, let's get started. Let's set up a virtual environment. Once you have installed a virtual environment, we need to activate it. Now we need to install Scrapy. It will take a couple of minutes. It is already there. So in my system it was already installed. So you need to execute this command and it will take a couple of minutes. Now before moving further, we need to create our project structure. Luckily Scrapy comes with a command to do that. Scrapy, start project, and then the project name. So our project name will be wallpaper scraper. Now let's run it. Let's see the contents. You can see a folder named wallpaper scraper. So this is our project folder. Let's go inside this. Now it has two files. One is the configuration file. We do not need to look into this. The other one, let's analyze the website that we are going to scrape. So we are going to get the download links for Breaking Bad. So there are total 206 wallpapers. Now let's inspect these images. So there's a very handy tool in Chrome, or even it is present in Firefox. It's called inspect element. So right click on the image and go on inspect. It will take you to the image tag, the HTML representation of this image. So this image is represented by this tag, image tag. Now it has a source URL here. Let's try to open this in a new window. Now this image corresponds to the thumbnail. As you can see it in the name, it is thumbnail. We can't use this for our wallpaper, right? It is very low in resolution. So we need to find the actual big size URL of this image. So for that, I think we need to click on this. Yeah. This is preview. Click the wallpaper to view full size. Now let's click on this. Now this wallpaper that you see here, this is the full URL of this image, wallpaper image. Now if we can compare this URL with the thumbnail URL, maybe we can find some relation between the two. Let's try to do that. So this is our full image URL and this is our thumbnail URL. Let me zoom it. Yeah, both the URLs are exactly same, but in the thumbnail URL we have this extra big hyphen string which we can replace. So all in all, what we can do is we can make use of the thumbnail URL. We have to fetch this thumbnail URL from the image tag for all the images, and for all those thumbnail URL we have to create corresponding image URL by replacing big hyphen from the thumbnail URL. It will get more clear when we start coding. So this thing is clear as for now, that we only need this thumbnail URL, and this we will get it from this image tag. Right, now we need to get this HTML to Scrapy. Now let's jump to that part. So before we go to the coding part, let me talk about a very important tool, Scrapy Shell. So with the help of Scrapy Shell, you can play around with the HTML that you get from the website. So to start a Scrapy shell, you use Scrapy Shell. It will open an interactive window where you can do all your testing and do a step-by-step analysis before implementing the same thing in the coding part. So let's fetch the HTML from the URL. So this is our URL. Let me copy it and paste it here. The result was 200, so that means the fetching part was successful. Now anything that you fetch inside a cell or in Scrapy in general will be present in a response object. The output of that fetch will be present inside a response object. So let's look at the response object. You will have the output of this page and the code is 200, so that means the scrape was successful. Now we have the HTML in the response object. We want to get the images, these image tag. So to do that, we have a CSS function which we can apply on top of this response object. So we will do response.css. You need to give some parameter inside the CSS function which can be used to extract the tags. Now in our case, this is our image tag. Let me copy this notepad so that it will be more visible to you guys. So this is our image tag. We want to fetch this and its class is image responsive. So let's try to fetch it on the basis of class. So inside CSS we will provide image tag having class image responsive. Now once we run this, it will give us all the image tag. Let's try to find out the number of image tag present in this. So it is basically a list, so we can use length function. I'm just going to use length function, length of all the images. So we got around 30 images. Let's check it in our website. I'm just going to close this. Let me zoom out a bit to count the number of images. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 times 4, 28, 29, 30. So in our UI also we have 30 images. So it means it is actually fetching the correct number of image tags. Now this is our image tag and we have it in our Scrapy. We want to get this URL from it. How can we get it? If you look at it closely, you can see that it is present inside a source attribute, src attribute. So we can make use of another function called attrib. So let's pick the first image. Now this will give me the list. I want to pick the first image. Let me store it in a variable, image variable. This is our first image tag. We want to get the source attribute value. So for that we have attrib function. And in this function we will give source src. Now when I run this, you will get the thumbnail URL. Now we have the thumbnail URL. We want the image URL. For that we need to replace this thumb underscore from it. This can be achieved by using replace function. Replace, we are going to replace thumb big hyphen with nothing. It has replaced the thumb big from our URL, and this is our new image URL. We can try to open this in browser. We will get the image, wallpaper image. See, we got the wallpaper image. So we have to do the same thing for all the images. Here we did it for the first image. So we just need to loop through all the output of this response.css, and for each and every image we will apply this attrib and get the thumbnail URL and then we are going to replace the thumb hyphen to get the image URL. It was that simple. Now everything is in place. We can go ahead and start coding. Now let's come out of our Scrapy shell and start doing some coding. Exit. Clear everything. Now in Scrapy, you need to create a spider which is going to run and crawl your websites. So there's a command to create spider for that. And let's go through that command. This is that command, Scrapy gen spider. So it will generate spider, and template, we want basic template. -t specifies the template. Then spider name and website to scrape. So for us, spider name will be, could be anything, wallpaper spider, and website to scrape. So let's copy the URL of our website. Now remember, we are crawling only for Breaking Bad, but in my future videos I'll replace this Breaking Bad with the user input so that we can crawl for any user input. Let's say you want to crawl for friends. I'll just pass friends here and then search. So you'll get the wallpapers for friends. Let's stick to Breaking Bad. So you need to copy this URL and paste it here. Do not copy the HTTPS because that is the protocol, just the URL. Now this is our generate command. It will generate a spider. Let's copy this and run it. Now it has run successfully. Let's check the contents. Okay, inside spiders, go to spiders, cd spiders. You can see wallpaper spider.py. Let's open this in Visual Studio Code. Now inside spider folder, this is the spider created by the command. Let's double click that. Now here, there are some parameters that are already created by the script. The name of the spider, the allowed domains. So what it means is, while crawling, it will never go out of this website. So suppose if there is a link that is pointing to Facebook, our crawler will skip those links. Now we have start URL. So this is the start of the scraping URL. So our scraping begins with this URL. And we have this very important function, parse function. Remember, in Scrapy script, we were using response object to query the HTML. In the same way, we are going to use the response object here inside the parse function. And this response and Scrapy shell response both are same. There's no difference in it at all. And this response object will be given by Scrapy engine once the fetching of this start URL is finished. So behind the scenes, this start URL will be fetched by Scrapy engine and will be given to the parse function. The output will be given to the parse function as a response object. Now let's start to work on this. We need to do three things which we did in Scrapy shell. First one is get image tags. Second thing, fetch thumbnail URL. Convert thumbnail URLs to image paper image URLs. Right? Let me show you in the notepad. We need to fetch this image tag first, and then from this tag we need to fetch the URL, thumbnail URL, and then we need to replace the thumb hyphen so that we get the wallpaper URL. Now let's get the tag. We'll make use of response object, response.css, it will be image tag, and the class was image responsive. You can cross check. Class is image responsive. Let's copy this, image responsive. Yeah, after this, let's store it in image tags. I'll loop through the image tag, and then we're going to use attrib as we saw in the Scrapy Shell, and we want to get source attribute, source src. I'm going to use src, and let's create a list here. Thumb URLs, it will be empty, and I'm going to put this to thumb URLs. So we are appending everything to this list. Sorry, it is thumb URLs. Yeah. So it will extract the thumbnail URL and put it in a thumb URLs list. Now the last step, we need to convert thumb URLs to wallpaper URLs. So for that, this is the thumb URL and this is the wallpaper URL. There is only a difference of thumb hyphen string. So we need to replace this. Well, let's convert it. I'll create one more image URLs. Actually, I'm going to use it directly. So image URLs is equals to for t in thumb URLs, we need to do t dot replace. Let's replace this with nothing. Now our image URL will contain the wallpaper URLs. Now we want to give this back. I mean, this function should return this image URL. Now in parse, we never use return, we use yield. So I'm just going to call yield. Let me show you the syntax. Yield, and for each of these images I'm going to yield. For I in image URLs, yield, and it should always return an object. So it will be URL image URLs. Let's save this. Now we need to run a spider. So let's try to run that. Let's clear everything from here. Scrapy crawl the spider name. So the name of our spider is wallpaper spider. Yeah, that's it. Let's try to run that. It will start crawling the websites. It is yielding for each of this loop. We are yielding the image URL. That is why we are getting the entire list, but we want to actually yield I. So I'm going to put here I. Let's do crawl again. Now, as you can see here, we got the URLs, right? And it is the wallpaper URL. You can go ahead and check any URL. And at the end, you will get some statistic. Here you can see items scraped count. It is 30. So we have successfully got the wallpaper URLs for these 30 images. Now the next question is, how are we going to get it for all the 7 pages? We got it for page number 1. What about the next 6 pages? We will tackle that now. Now we are done with scraping a single page. Our scraper is capable of getting all the links from page number 1. But what about other pages? There are total 206 images, and in one page we have 30 images. And if I scroll down, we can see there are total 7 pages. So we need to do the same thing for all the other 6 pages. So let's see how the URL changes when we change the page number. Let's go to page number 2. Keep your eye on the URL. We have a new option now, page is equals to 2. To go to page number 3, I can directly change here to 3. Page number 3. What about the end page? The end page is page number 7. Let's go to page number 7. So this is the last page, page number 7. So now we can see that as we change the page value in the URL, we get the respective page number. And if I try to give some wrong page number, let's say page number 8, then still it is giving me back page number 7. Even if you try to overflow the page number value, it will bring us back to the final page number 100. Still giving back the page number 7. So this is how we can get a specific page number page. So we need to implement it in our scraper. How to do that? So we will first copy this URL, page number based URL, and I'll create a separate variable. Next page URL, store this value there, and I'll remove this page equals to 7. I'll keep page equals to. Now I'll set the value of page number through a variable. I'm going to create a page number variable here, which I have already created. Create a page number variable and then increment it here, page number. Since it is a class variable, page number, I'm going to increment it +1. Now I'm going to use this page number to construct the URL. Since it is an integer, I need to change it to string. Now we have the page number, and we need to call the parse function again, right? But with this new page number. So we have a special type of yield call. So I'm going to call yield, and then on the response object, I'm going to use follow method. In follow method, you give the URL, then call back. So we are calling back the parse. With the help of this function, yield response.follow, I'm going to keep on scraping the next page URL till we reach the end. All right, let's save this and let me try to run the scraper now. Scrapy call wallpaper slider. So now it should execute 7 times, right? It should bring me the URL 7 times. For some weird reason it is not working. Let's debug the error. Filter offsite request to. Okay, I think I got the error. Now if you look at the allowed domains, we have set the domain value to this. Now what this means is any URL that is not this, those URLs will be not scraped. So our new URL contain page value also, right? And this is not present in our allowed domains. That is the reason it is not scraping this new page URL. So we have to remove everything here. We'll just keep the bare minimal server name in the allowed domains. Let's try to run this now. So I think this is page number 1, page number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Total 7 pages. Yeah, we are done. Total items scraped 206, and how many wallpapers we had for Breaking Bad? 206. Alright, all this is very cool, but we need to get these URLs to a file, right? And this is where Scrapy really shines. You can open the terminal and you can tell Scrapy to store the output to a file. So I'm going to use the command hyphen o and then the file name. So it will be image urls.json. So it is going to store the output to a JSON file. Let's try to run this again. Let's wait for 5-6 seconds. Now let me try to open the VS Code, and here we have image urls.json. Now you can open this and all the URLs are present in a JSON format now. You can click on any URL and you will get the full wallpaper image. Isn't it cool? So this is a real benefit of Scrapy. It is a full-fledged scraping framework. From scraping to creating the output file, everything comes with it. But if you're using some other library like Beautiful Soup and request module, you can only do the parsing. Apart from that, you have to create your own thing. Suppose this thing, if you want to do in Beautiful Soup or request, you have to create your own Python program which will output the data to a JSON file. So this is it for this video, guys. So in this video we learned how to use Scrapy for doing web scraping, and we scraped a website to get the wallpaper URLs, and we stored the output in a JSON format, and we saw how easy it is to use Scrapy for basic scraping activities. In fact, we can do a lot more than that. I'm going to do little bit changes in this project. Like in this particular scraping code, I'm using the hard-coded value for fetching the wallpaper. Here I am fetching the wallpaper for Breaking Bad. Now in the future video, I'm going to remove this. I'm going to show how you can remove this and take the input from the user. Like user will enter the wallpaper they want to search. I'm going to do that. If you want to see more videos like this, do subscribe to my channel, like the video, and if you have any doubt, drop it in the comment section. Bye, take care.